G'day all, Ben here, Reese West. This is going to be part 13 of our series on how to build a charting platform using Python and tkinter. So let's jump into the code and update what we have so far. So here we are, part 13. So we're on our Jupyter notebook. Everything is the same thus far as we've done. But there's a couple of things going on here. There's an error that is occurring with the charts at the moment. So I'll just demonstrate what's happening here because we just need to do a quick fix on that. So here we are, I've just got the application window open here and we've just called in a chart. Now, because of some of the changes we've made, when we come down here, if we select Renko and update the chart, you can see down the bottom here, we're getting an error. Okay, and this will also occur with the point and figure chart. If you want to use that, you will also get an error. So what this error is saying is that the add plot is not supported for type PNF, and the same thing, not supported for type Renko. So what that means is this: when we come back up here to the fetch and display chart, this line of code, you can't add plots. This is just a part of the a little nuance of the MPF charts, is that you can't add plots to those two chart types. Okay, you can't do it. So to get around that, we're just going to whack a little bit of code in here to deal with it. Look, I haven't seen a point and figure chart since I worked on a trading floor, and that was well over 20 years ago. So I don't know who still uses them. Renkos, I don't know either, but I wanted to make sure that all the functionality of the package, the MPF package, was available through this app. So let's just deal with that code. It's not very difficult. So the first thing I'm going to do here is just come up to the libraries, because there's just one more library to import. So I just think this is kind of handy because it just shows yet another little library that you can use within the tkinter package, another little program or function. So what we'll bring in is this. From tkinter import message box. Okay, so that is just the library we need to import. And then the next thing we need to do is we just need to come down here to our functions, and we are just going to make some changes in this fetch and display chart function. So I'm just going to come down here, and the way we're going to do this is we're just going to write a simple if statement, okay, because we can plot two ways. So this should make sense. We'll just bring this in and I'll explain it. So all we're going to say here is we're just going to say handle the different types of charts. So we're just going to say if the chart type, and remember we've grabbed the chart type up here. If the chart type is Renko, or if it's PNF, then we just plot the figure, but we just take out the addplots variable and it'll plot, right? So we're just going to say if it's these types, we do that. Else, if it's not those types, there's only three other types it can be, we will put in this. Now I've just realized here that I just want to make a little change, and you should probably do this on your own. So you can see up here I've made the change here. This is just you can literally copy this, right? I'm just going to copy and paste because I'm lazy, but like that. So now it'll actually bring up the right type of chart rather than just always saying open, high, low, close, because obviously that is not what it's always going to be. So just a little formatting thing, something that slipped through the cracks there. In fact, so once we put this in, this line of code we need to remove. Okay, so we should just remove that. All right. So now we've got a case to handle these type of charts. If not, it'll create these type of charts. So I've just restart and run everything again. So now, you just do this sort of to test to make sure that your code works. So now when I fetch the chart, it'll bring up the Renko chart or the point and figure chart. Okay, so that works. But the problem we've got here now is, let's see, fetch this chart. If we now try to add a study, it won't add. Okay, obviously it won't add because we cannot add. Well, there's no add plots for a start, but you can't add anything to the point and figure charts themselves. Sorry, the Renko and the point and figure charts themselves. So to get around that, I'm just going to come up here to the update chart with study function, this one here, and we'll just put something in here. Now you probably don't really need to do this because, as you see, the program just doesn't respond when you try to add plots to that. But I think this is kind of, so yeah, superfluous, but I think it's a good example of how to use this type of message box. So this is going to be the blocker code I'm going to bring in. So chart type, we're just going to get the chart type. So exactly like we just did in the last function, if the chart type is Renko or if the chart type is PNF, this is where we try to update the chart with study, mind you. We're going to say message box.show error, and then we're going to say add study error. So that first line will be like a heading, and then a comma, well, pardon me, I didn't want to do that. The comma will separate this, and then the message in the box will be studies cannot be added to Renko PNF charts. Please use candle, open, highlight, close, or line. And then we will hit return. So what this will do is that will just basically cancel that function and just take us back to the start. All right, so let's just quickly run this so I can demonstrate that for you. So here we are with a Renko chart. Okay, now if we just do add study the normal way we would do it, it brings up this. If you hit OK, it brings up this. Okay, add study error study. So that's just what we programmed in. So that little block of code, that's what this brings up. Okay, so all that does is you hit OK and then you're just back to the start. It takes you out of that, and then you're sitting there idle waiting for the next command. Okay, so like I said, you don't necessarily need that in there, but that's just an example of how you could use that, because hey, look, you might want to use that somewhere else down the track, and if you do, well, then you've got a little example of how that goes together. And that's what this is all about, right? Providing a template of inspiration to do other things. Okay, now we need to deal with this problem that we highlighted in the previous video, that this bottom pane causes a problem because it just lays studies over studies, and we don't really want that. We only want one study at a time showing up in this window. Okay, so how are we going to deal with that? Well, it gets a little bit sticky, but we'll just step through it as we do, and I'll explain it as we go. So once again, we're going to be here in the update chart with study function. So we're just going to go down below what we just wrote. Okay, now we need to now determine if there's something in the panel, the panel being 1 because it's the lower panel. So we need to sort of say, okay, is there something in that panel, and if there is, well, can we get rid of that, and then we want to place this new study in the panel. So that's effectively what we're going to do here. So let's just step through this. So we're going to do an if statement here. We're going to say if the panel is equal to 1, okay? Now we just need to firstly determine if there's actually something in the panel. So what we're going to say here first is, and I should just explain, we're going to say if panel equals 1, meaning that the study that we're trying to pass in is destined for the lower panel. So first we're going to say, we're going to set panel populated to false, and then we're going to say for plot in addplots. So for each element in the addplots list that we're going to pass, we're going to say this. First thing it's going to do is say if is instance plot dictionary. So what that is doing is it's going to check if what we're trying to plot is actually a dictionary. So to quickly explain what that means, when we look at the actual list of addplots, the addplot, so these square brackets mean list, but within this list, these curly brackets mean we have a dictionary. So this is what's actually contained in the add plot. So it's got all the data plots that it needs to plot, and then it's got all the arguments about, so this is all the stuff that it's collecting so it knows what to plot. Okay, so this is all the stuff. So what it's doing is it wants to access this, all right, within the dictionary. So firstly, we're just checking if this actually is a dictionary, which is just a long-winded way of saying, is there something actually in add plots? Is there anything there to actually add a plot to? Or is there anything there that's trying to add a plot? So then we're saying and plot.get panel equals panel. So remember, if we go back down here, it's going, okay, so is this panel is 0 because this was a moving average. But if it wasn't, if it was a MACD or something else, the panel would be set to 1. So then the code would go, okay, so we've got a dictionary and the plot is equal to 1, okay? So if that's the case, if we're going to say panel populated equals true, okay, and then after that we're just going to break the loop because we've got the result we want. So all this is really doing is just a long-winded way of checking what the current add plots list has got and seeing if there's something in there, something in the add plots list that already has a panel that's equal to 1. So if it does, we know that there's something already plotted there. So I know that sounds a little bit long-winded, but that's how that works. Okay. So what we want to do now is just step below this break, and we just want to come back, and we want to be in line with this for statement here, because we want to stay within this if statement. Okay, so just want to make sure that aligns there. And now we need to say, okay, well, if the panel is populated, okay, so this is true. Now this looks a little bit, and it is, it's a little bit, it looks complex, and it's a little bit difficult to explain, but basically what we're doing here is the add plots list that we've already got. So we're saying for plot for, sorry, pardon me, I think I've mistyped this. No, I didn't. I just checked my notes. So this is basically just list comprehension. So for plot in add plots. If not, okay, so what we say, if not, is instance plot dictionary and plot.get panel equals panel. So let me just spell this out in layman's terms what this is doing. Effectively, we're going through the list. We're saying, okay, the panel's populated, so there's something in there. So what we're doing is we're going through the list. We're finding which panel that's already in there is equal to 1, and we're getting rid of that. Okay, we're getting rid of whatever is in the list that's already equal to 1. We get rid of that, and then we're going to add in the new study. Okay, so all we're doing is effectively, or you can say what this is doing is, okay, I want to add the RSI, and the code's going, okay, well, I'm looking at the chart we've got. We've already got the MACD in that panel, so that MACD is part of the add list, the add plots list. So we're going to go through add plots list. We're going to get rid of the MACD, and we're going to insert the RSI in its place. And then once that's done, we're just going, so we've adjusted the add plots list, and then we're just going to plot all that out. So that's all it's really doing. So I've just tightened that up. But yeah, so I know that sounds a bit, that looks a little bit complex, but what it's doing is pretty simple. So let's just run all this and see what happens now. Pardon me, there's one step we need to do before we rerun that. So what we just need to do here is we just need to come down here at the very start, and we need to say global add plots. So we just need to tell, because of what we're doing through here, we just need to tell this function to access the global add plots list. Okay, so that's just all we have to do, and then we can run the program. Now I've done this a specific way because the way we've done it is going to throw another error. Okay, so let me just demonstrate. So here we are with the chart. If we just add the RSI here, okay, that's the RSI. There's only one element in the add plots list at this stage. Okay, so that's fine. Here's the problem, right? When we come to, and this is why I said each of these throws up its own little problem. The MACD is a little bit different. So when we fetch the MACD, watch what happens. Sorry, when we add the study of the MACD, watch what happens. Okay, so the RSI did get successfully removed, but what's happened here is we've only got the histogram. We don't have the MACD and the signal lines. So we need to fix that. Now the reason that's happening is because of what we've written here. So what it's doing is it's each instance of the MACD. So you remember when we come here to the MACD, every time that we work out one of the elements, we update the chart. So what's happening is every time we're coming into here to update the chart, it's going, oh, well, there's already something there. So it adds the MACD line, that's fine, and then it goes, okay, now I'm going to add the signal line, and it goes back and goes, oh, but there's already something in panel 1, it's the MACD line, so I'll get rid of that, then I'll put the signal line in, and then it goes up and then it works out for the histogram and comes down here and does the same thing, goes, oh, well, the signal line's already in panel 1, I'll get rid of that and I'll put in the histogram. So that way you wipe out whatever's there. So to get around this, what we're going to do is we're going to actually group some of these indicators together. So we just need to make a couple of changes. So the first thing we need to do is we'll just come down to this one here, right? So we're going to say here, well, we just need to add this in. So just at the end here, we're going to say and plot.getGroup, we haven't created this yet, does not equal group. So all we're doing is we're going, okay, if there's something here in panel 1 that is not part of the group that we're doing, we need to remove it. So effectively that just means that when it goes through that example like with a MACD, it'll come down here and go, okay, there's already something in panel 1, it's the MACD line, and now I'm being asked to add something into panel 1, which is the signal line, but the MACD line and the signal line are part of the same group, so I'm going to leave it in there and plot it all together as a group. If you then went to plot the RSI, it would go, oh, well, this is part of the RSI group, so I can get rid of all the grouping for the MACD, so I'll remove the 3 MACD elements. So I hope that makes sense. But we just need to make a few changes here to accommodate this small bit of code that we've whacked in here. This is like the end result, so we're sort of working backwards, reverse engineering this a little bit. So to do that, first thing we need to do is come up here and we need to put in a group variable here. We'll just set this to none, oh, pardon me, equals none. Okay, so we just need to make that change there to pardon me, to the update chart with study function, so it can accept a group as an argument, because that needs to be something that it checks. But what we need to do here, this is slightly painful, but we need to do it, is now we need to come up to each of these functions and just here, every time something is created, we need to add a group. So just here, we've added in group equals MACD. So we need to also add this to a few more spots. So we need to add it in here. And we also need to add it in here. Okay, so that means that when these are created, they're now part of the MACD group. So we need to do this for the other indicators as well. So when we come to the RSI, we just need to add it in here, okay, because we're passing. Remember, we introduced the variable into this function, so we just need to pass that. And we need to do the same thing for the moving average. Actually, we do it slightly different. We don't need to actually add as much in here. We're just going to add it in here, okay? And the same thing with the RSI, because there's only one element, it's all going to be part of the same group, okay? So that it's not as important for those single element indicators, but we're also going to add the stochastics. So the stochastics is going to have the same problem as the MACD. So that's how we just get around all that. And now there's just one final bit of code we just need to bring in here before we run all that. So we just need to come down here below study plot. Actually, pardon me before I do anything. There's just a little bit of code we have to fix up here. I've just realized it's wrong. So I think it's plotted out like this. So just get rid of that parentheses and just put a parentheses here like that. Okay, so just make sure that this if panel populated code looks exactly like that. Okay, so once you've got that looking like that, that is all good. So what we need to do now is one last thing. We just need to come down here and we just need to, sorry about that. So yeah, we just need to come down here below this study plot and we just need to bring in 2 lines of code. Very simple. And those lines are simply study plot study. So we're just going to make a study column. Probably don't need this, but this one's a bit more important. Study plot group equals group. So then when we append the study plots, we append the study plot to the addplots list. When we come down here, you can just see here, this is one that I prepared earlier. So you can see here now we've got the MACD line in there, but most importantly we've got, if I can find it here, group. Okay, the group is MACD, so that is what we're accessing to check if we need to remove anything. So all these have got the panel of 1, but they all have the panel the group of MACD, so that's important, and that's where one dictionary ends and this is where the next one starts, which is in the addplots list. Okay, so that is all we need to do. So we can just run this now and see what it pops up. So here we are with the application. If we just now add the MACD, that comes in now with the lines and with the histogram, which is what we want. And if we go now and add the RSI, it is now replaced with only the RSI, and we can go back to the MACD. And there it is. So that is working now the way that we want it to do. And just as one last test, we can actually add a moving average as well. So that's in there. So now what we know that is if we come down here and do if we add the RSI, that all stays there. Yet if we clear the studies, everything gets cleared off. So this is all working the way it wants. So we are getting now very close to the end of this series. I'm just going to bring in 2 last indicators. I'll try to whack that into the last part. And also remember, in the last part, I'll provide a link for the entire code. So that's it for this part. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and you'll see you in what should be the final part next up. Bye for now.